Hey guys, it's Eddie, and welcome to my third devlog where I'll be talking about the changes and upgrades I've made to the game between my 5th and 6th weeks of development. Hope you enjoy. So first I'll start by booting my game in its own process, because for some reason when I launch it in a standard Unreal window, it's very slow and very glitchy, but works perfectly when I launch it as its own process. Maybe my code is janky, which is why that happens. I don't know. I'll sort that out or figure it out later on. So, here I am running my game's process, and I'll start with my smallest change first, which is I've got my slope mechanics for my character's movement fully working, or fully working for some slopes. Basically, it works with small slopes like 5-degree slopes and 15-degree slopes. It gets a bit janky between 22 degrees and 35 degrees, but then it works perfectly on 40-degree slopes like here, and my max of 50 degrees over here. So yeah, other than being able to move, jump, and just standard movement along the slope, also when I go on a slope that's more steep than my maximum climb angle, I get dragged back down along the edge of it, as you can see. But say if I was to jump off kind of prematurely before that finishes, sometimes my jump doesn't work afterwards. I guess I'm not getting a good example of that now, but basically there's still some slope mechanics that I need to sort out, as well as on a slope like this, which is steeper. I think it's like a 55-degree slope here. Yeah, that makes sense. 35 plus 55 would be 90. So yeah, this is a 55-degree slope, steeper than 50 obviously, but I'm not getting dragged down. But at the same time, I can't jump, glitch my way up this steep slope, so I guess it works, in that regard. So that's the smallest change I've made so far, but the one I've spent the most time in. And then the one that took the least time to sort out, but I guess is the most dramatic change, is making my triggered components more modular. So, first of all, I'll reiterate what I've already explained in my second devlog. My triggered components would be something, for example, like this door over here. Which opens up when triggered. For it to be triggered, this trigger holder, which is linked to this door, needs to have a trigger on it, which I'll do right now. When the trigger is on it, I need to insert a body part that fits in the recess of the trigger to activate it. In this case, the trigger has got a square cross-section recess, which means it needs a body part with a square cross-section, which would be my arm, in this case, if I can actually aim it properly. And as you can see, the door opens up, and when the trigger holder, when the key is removed or the trigger itself is removed from the holder, either or, the door closes again, which makes sense. So that part hasn't changed at all from my first devlog. Also, it's the triggers themselves aren't linked, for now anyway, aren't linked to a specific trigger holder. So I can even grab this one over here, put it on, same effect, rotates into place. Oh, come on, seriously. And it triggers the door. I take the key out and it closes. Same old, same old. Right, I'm going to exit this now and go back to my editor to show you where the new parts start. So, I mentioned making this a more modular system, which means being able to easily swap out, well, for now, it's just being able to easily swap out how many trigger holders I have and how many trigger holders need to be activated for the component to activate. If you look here, I've in my sliding door trigger comp, triggered my triggered component, I can dictate the minimum amount of triggers that need to be activated for the door to open. For now, I've got it on its default of 1 because I've got the default of 1 trigger. If I was to put 2 when I only have the 1 trigger holder, then it obviously wouldn't work because I can't activate 2 triggers on a single trigger holder, and without that second trigger holder, you know, it just basically stopped the door from being able to be activated. How do I go ahead and fix that? If I wanted, you know, more triggers to be required to open the door, I can simply, well, first of all, I converted my trigger holder from what it was in my previous devlog, from a trigger holder component to a trigger holder actor, which is now in my triggered component as a trigger holder child actor. I can then simply copy that child actor, duplicate it, move it however I want. So let's see, a negative 200 offset from the center and a 200 offset from the center with this one. So I've got my main trigger holder, this one, the one that's already there inherited from my code, and this one which I've just created. Wait, what? Yeah, sorry. This one which is inherited from the code, and this one which I just created now in the editor or blueprint, basically the same thing. They work the same and do the exact same thing, but for now only one of those trigger holders need to be activated for the door to activate. It doesn't matter which, because I haven't added any specificity in regards to that. So as long as one of those triggers is activated, this door will start to open, as I'll demonstrate now. Because I might as well demonstrate it. Yeah, so if I was to get this, put it here, rotates into place, shoot it in. As you can see, it does this thing, it opens up, and it doesn't matter if I put it here. Oh, come on, seriously? Bang. Yeah, as you can see, the door still does this thing, it opens up, closes up, all that good stuff. And it doesn't matter which trigger or which trigger holder I use, one of them, I just need a minimum requirement of one of them to be activated for the door to open. And nothing will happen if I have both of them activating it. It's not like, you know, if I go over the limit, anything will happen. It's just the minimum. The minimum so far happens to be 1, so as long as 1 is in, it will activate. Is that in? Yeah, I think it's in. Yeah. So again, nothing happens. If I go back to the first one, because as you can see, I've activated the second one, but it was that first one that actually triggered the door. If I was to go to that first one and take it off, since that second one is still in, the door's still open. Go back to it, I remove that second one, and the door stops working. As you can imagine, when I make that 2, now I definitely need both trigger holders to have active triggers on them for this door to open. Now it actually matters that I have both in, or don't, I guess. So as you see, only when both were in did that door open. If I was to turn one of them from key mode to grab mode, as you can see, it deactivates it. What in the world? Oh, didn't let go. So yeah, that's a demonstration of one of my larger changes, adding modularity to my component. It's not such a difficult process. It's just like I could have kept it with components instead of going the whole child actor route, but it's because my trigger holder is a component with a sub component that adds errors to the whole system of adding that component with a sub component as a component to something else. In this case, it'd be the triggered doors as a component of this actor. You know, an error occurs, so I had to specifically make it into a child actor to mitigate those errors. And luckily that worked. That way I can just, add in the trigger holder with its box on the top of the trigger holder that acts as a, I guess, a proximity sensor to triggers. Yeah. One of this, so yeah, that was just me sorting that out, adding modularity to the amount of triggers, then, triggers and trigger holders per triggered component. Something else I've added, or just experimented with, I should say, is kind of level design in, just a small sense. When I finished my slope mechanics and my modularity, was rotating, for example, the door while keeping the actual trigger holder linked to it, acting as normal. And then, I think it's too far for me to jump on the door from that slope. And it should also be too far to jump from this slope despite its added height. And it's too steep, so my jump will be slightly lower, even if I... Oh. Yeah. So I can't jump on it from either of those. I have to jump on it from here. And then I just imagine there was something that, could only be reached by getting up onto this platform, but was directly below this platform. There'd be no way for me to get to it, say if, if this platform was walled off. So I'd have to get on here. Like, yeah, imagine if there was a tube directly under me now that actually reaches up to the bottom of this platform, which would be too high for me to just jump into, even if this platform was out of the way. But, which means I basically need to get on this platform and then somehow get the platform out of the way. I'd, get on this door and I just, shoot out a key into it, drop in, something like that. Hopefully that leads to good, design possibilities. Hello, it's been a day since I recorded the previous sections of this video, and I've made some minor tweaks and adjustments just to get my my systems in the game running a bit smoother. So I'll just showcase them. There's not much show anyway. So I'll just launch the game in its own instance again. For some reason between yesterday and today there's been a bit more jittering of the character when they move, as you can see. I have no idea why. Like, the jump sometimes isn't working properly, but sometimes is, as you saw there. It just got launched really high. Okay, yeah. So it's like sometimes the system runs slowly, so I'm assuming that either has something to do with how the world is being rendered, because I've got this lower level in the game now, and then I've added some lighting there so I can actually see my character when I'm down there. And I'm guessing, since I haven't done really any work with level design before, that I must be doing something that's dramatically slowing the game down, which is why at some instances it's running as normal, and then at others it just seems really slow. But anyway, on to the actual things I want to showcase. So I'll just restart. So I've spawned here, and I'm exactly on the line between both of these doors. So, and if I was to activate these doors and actually get them to move open, as you can see, I just drop right through. If I was to move slightly over, so I'm on this door, and then trigger it, I've now added just a very little bit of code that allows me to stay in the same relative position on any moving plane that my character is resting on. And obviously if I was to go to this door instead of the other door, I move this way, which makes sense. Oh yeah, the lighting I was mentioning before that might be messing up my system is down here. I just added a couple of spotlights, I think, and one directional light, just so I can actually see my character down here. Like, I didn't bother like making it look good or anything. And you know, other than the fact it might be slowing my system down a bit, there also seems to be some randomly shaped shadows over here, which I think line up with some of the shadows of objects up on this level, maybe, which is a bit of a problem because shadows on, because lights being generated in between these two floors shouldn't affect the shadows up here, but sometimes it does, and that's just very messy and obviously wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure all of that out. And hopefully I managed to do so within the next 2 weeks, so I'm able to update you guys in my next devlog. So that's all for my third devlog. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in 2 weeks from now.